So our first speaker, he has been in the industry for 32 years. He's worked in the field. He's been with Lennox for the last 8 years, just celebrating his 8th-year anniversary. He's our fearless leader. He gives us directions. He is a great visionary of seeing where things need to be and how to get there. So he does a great job with these meetings. I would like to introduce Mr. Dave Chatmon.
All right, well, thank you and good morning, everybody. Thanks for being in here today, coming into the meeting nice and early. I know some of you guys got up really super early to get here, and that's really super important. I'm really happy with the start-off lead by our TMs. I think that's fantastic. You know, we're missing one TM. You guys saw that, right? But we're working on that very quickly. But I think your message was really great, and I love some of Brent's comments about being a premier dealer and how important that is and what that establishes for you guys. You know, because sometimes people will say, well, why do I be a premier dealer? Because I'm just paying a fee, you know, and that's to be called premier. But there's the guidelines, right? One of the guidelines is attend things, participate, be involved. So, you know, as a district, we say, hey, we have several things. You can miss something that happens, but be involved, grow, be a part of our industry, be a part of Lennox events, and make your company even better with the tools that we can bring. You know, we have a great lineup today of speakers. It's been really a tough one. For some reason, when you're working with professionals, sometimes you know, they have illnesses just like we do. You know, you would think like our speakers don't ever get sick, but they do. They get booked, sometimes overbooked, things change. But I can tell you that working down the home stretch and finally getting the listing online so you guys can all see it was probably the biggest challenge so far this year, you know, ever. But with the help of our committee, we really were able to find, you know, John and Vicky LaPlante back there and bring them in, and they changed their schedule so they can get to us, and they made some things happen. And you guys are going to be really planning. They're going to speak 5 different times over the next 24 hours. Incredible. Every time right here, so you don't get lost, they'll be right here. So we want to give them the biggest room we can. So really some great stuff is going to happen, and you guys being here is important, and we do have premier dealers that are not here. And I've said this a lot of times, but really the only way we can help, that we can really truly bring this, the emotions, the feelings, the programs, the offerings that we offer would be to get to a meeting. And when you get to a meeting, we're able to share those things, and you can take that back to your team. So today, in a premier talk this morning, I'm going to be talking about chasing your dream, chasing the dream. That was the title I put out there, and I'm pretty much referencing a book that Angela had me read, and I'm not through with it. I wanted to be through with it before the meeting today, but I'm partway through it. I'm pretty way through it. It's called "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." It's awesomely appropriate for everything we do. And if we look at our schedule today, if you look at one thing that I'm always worried about is attendance. You know, are we committed? You know, are we doing the right things? Are we putting all the time and energy into the meetings, or do we not need it? Because truthfully, if there's not a value, well, then people show that by their attendance, right? Question mark. Big question mark. So the book is kind of cool because it kind of takes you and makes you look at a few things. Like, we got here, we took our district to such a great level because of you guys. You guys being involved, you guys coming around, the vendors support constantly. And as you watch the numbers, you have to make sure that you're we call it PDCA, plan, do, check, and adjust. And where I see myself fail, and I'll see many other people fail, would be in the adjustment, the check and adjustment. And what I mean by that is, you know, it's really hard to go to your superiors, the people that you look to for guidance, and talk about your business as a whole, and being off, being down a little bit, changing, and then being willing to be open-minded to think about that. And that's exactly what this book talks about. And I'm going to give you some pieces on it. But I want to start off with something a little bit different that drives this whole thing together. And let's talk about this word called, I'm going to put it here in Elmo, it's called distress. Distress. And you know what distress is. I mean, you can look at there's a dictionary. I love that Brent did that because I like doing the same thing. Pull out the dictionary. What does Google say about distress? And it says extreme anxiety, sorrow, or pain. To his distress, he saw that she was trembling. Cause, I didn't mean to distress you. Anticipation, great apprehension or fear. Gene was dreading the party. So distress is a real thing, and we've all heard that stress can make you sick. It can make you tired. And if you look at fatigue, being tired is what really helps people not succeed, right? So when you kind of balance those things out, there's something else in there, though. There's a different type of stress, and it's called a eustress. I didn't think this was a real word, so I had to go Google the word too. But it's called eustress, and it's spelled like this. EU stress. And Google says, the definition of that is moderate or normal psychological stress interpreted as being beneficial for the experiencer. So basically what this is, a eustress is something you put yourself under. It could be achieving a goal or a dream or saying, hey, I want to be here with my future, I want to be there with my future, but I know I've got to do some hard work to get there, and if I keep doing the same thing every single day, it's not going to happen. You just won't get there, right? So what's really interesting about that is I never knew there was such a thing. I'm not saying, I just never knew there was a word called eustress. Stress or pressure you put yourself under. Now look at a diamond. It's hard to believe that a diamond is a piece of coal that's put under immense pressure over years, right? Millions of years, I think, what it is. They pop out a little diamond, a perfect crystal, but a lot of pressure for a long time. So what's interesting about that is you have to almost put yourself in that eustress. You have to figure out what you're looking for and work toward that. That's that extra effort. That's that extra piece a lot of people do have inside of them. But there's something in the middle here, right here in the middle. It's called comfort. It's an interesting thing because comfort is awesome. I don't know what it is, but man, I love my couch. I just love it. I turn on the TV, relax, my brain can go to sleep a little bit. I can watch a movie. It's relaxing, it's a great place. But what'll happen is sometimes for me is I'll stay away from that couch for long periods of time, which is great. But then all of a sudden, sometimes I'll get drawn to that couch and it's not so great. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But it doesn't really help me get to that eustress. And it's a real problem because if you're looking to succeed in something, and this is what we're talking about as premier dealers, is success, that eustress is really key, right? So let's add a few more words to this. Let's add dread. Let's add dread. So dread is an interesting term because some people have dread in finances, where they'll go to work and they'll work hard because they got to pay their bills. And they'll change jobs, right? You ever have employees change jobs that shouldn't be leaving you because they get a $1 raise or a 50-cent raise or promise for a promotion or whatever, and they change jobs? And that puts you under distress, right? Because now you lost somebody that you really need in your team. But for them, what they see is, hey, if I take this job, I'm working anyway, I now can pay off my debt. So that financial dread is a real driver in today's economy. Would you agree? You see it all the time. Our economy is doing a lot better than it was, but it's not where it is, not where it should be. And I don't know if it'll get to where it should be, right? Like it was. So that dread is a lot of things. So sometimes it could be relationship dreads, it could be job dreads, it could be, have you ever got up in the morning and not wanted to go to work? Right? Just really hated it. The alarm clock went off and you hit it, boom, and you turn it off, and then it goes off again, and boom, you turn it off. And who turns off their alarm clock? Who sets the alarm, turns it off? Really? Who does it more than twice? Wow. Who does it more than 4 times? You're sick. I don't know what to tell you, but, get up and get going. So, it's so weird because I was like that growing up. I know I was. But as I started doing different things in my career, I started to not even set an alarm clock. I don't set one. I set one today because I was nervous about being late. But typically, I'll wake up 3 or 4 minutes before that baby goes off. It's just a weird thing, so I don't want to set it. I'm just so excited to get around you guys, to get around what we do. And this industry would have thought, we've talked about this before, that this industry isn't sexy. It isn't something you're like, ooh, man, I'm a HVAC guy, and everybody goes, wow, that's cool. Now, I thought it'd be something much cooler than that, like race cars or, I don't know, filtering, other professions. But I tell you, it's amazing to me that, it wasn't something I really wanted to do. So let's add one more word to this. Let's add dream. Well, this is interesting. Now I'm going to throw some lines in here. This is interesting because if you look at these as lines like that, graph, and you think about these words, right? How many times, let's just think about our employees on our team, in our companies, right? Just think about that. And look at picture different faces in your mind when you're thinking through this. And what if they go through periods of distress and then comfort, and then distress, and then comfort, then distress, then comfort? What does that look like? It looks like this. It looks like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You see what I'm saying? And that's what they're under. And what a lot of times what that comes from would be something called dread, because maybe they're not focused on the right thing. So what's their dread? I mean, as a district right now, we're reading financial books as a district, and we're sharing what we're thinking about it. Because what I'm concerned about is making sure that our team internally can deliver for you. Clear-minded, focused on the future, and wanting to get out of bed to get and serve you. And I don't know about you, but we're seeing stuff coming out. I'm seeing problems fixed faster. I'm seeing things happening quicker than I've ever seen before. I've seen people come to our district that want to work here because they see the values that we're trying to bring to the forth. It's incredible. And I think when we start to understand that the majority of the country right now is under financial stress, that's a great place to start. I'm not saying everybody is, okay? But I am saying it's an area of concern. But so if you look at this dread thing going on, they'll go to work, so that's to say they're not in the right spot. I remember Dwayne talking to me about this a long time ago about the book Good to Great, because they read it as a company, and how they had to get people in the right seat on the bus, and how it changed their business and grew them drastically, profitably, when they figured that out, and they did that. And it's the same thing. It's the same concept. But let's look at this. How many times will people get to this comfort zone, and then they look at that thing, they can't quite get to push themselves further into eustress that actually will point them toward their dream. Do you see what I'm saying? Because maybe we don't know what that is. Maybe we don't have the guidance in what that is. One thing I can tell you that's really cool about working for Lennox, and I'm going to give Lennox commercial for a second, is focused on the future of our people. Where do you see yourself going? How do we point you in that area? How do we give you the training? How do we focus you on the future of that product that you're looking for, that dream thing? But it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be stressful. And we can't always put it on our team. They have to get their own eustress to do that. Now think about your businesses. Think about those folks in your team that you're looking at right now and you're thinking, man, this person should be selling for us. This should be a selling tech. This person should move from selling tech to full-time sales. This person should be a departmental manager. Maybe they should be a partner in my business someday. Are we putting them into the eustress? Are we pointing them toward that direction and we understand what that looks like? Because if they're not willing to go down to that eustress, I'm not so sure they're ready to wear your shoes. Because I know you've all gone through it. You have to have. In order to get to where you are today, you've had to go through this process. What I loved about seeing this was it made sense. I'm like, aha, I can see this. This makes sense to me as this thing is popping up the chart here. So you can't always push yourself in this eustress. You can't always be there 24/7. But it is an important piece of that. So we're going to keep coming back to that. Excuse me. So let me get into this book here, because this book absolutely parallels this comment, this topic. And I'm going to read some of my notes. I'll read some of the book here. But when I'm talking about a book, I want to make sure I don't water it down with my own thoughts and give you what the book says. And I'm going to leave you short of the comments that are in here to the next step, because I want you to get the book. And I want you to read it yourself. And I want you to make your own notes in there. And I want you to grow yourself through your own learning. So, The Success of Delusion, thank you, man, or Why We Resist Change. Oh, thank you. Again, awesome. The Success of Delusion, or Why We Resist Change. So, it's an interesting 3 parts response. First one is, we think the other party is confused. So, success delusion and resistance to change. Let's just say your company is at $3 million in sales. and the world changes a little bit, and you end up the next year finish at 2.5 million. Does that affect your plan? Absolutely, it affects your plan. Does it affect how people are paid? Absolutely, especially you guys sitting in these chairs, right? So if the next year we do the same thing that we just did because we think it was just the economy or the fluke or the whatever's going on, or we think we know what it is, but we move forward in the same fashion, but now we come back at 2.3 million, we can't quite get back to 3 million and beyond, right? So what I've seen in this part of the book is, the first thing we think is, there's somebody's confused here. I'm a successful person, and I know what I'm doing is correct. Okay? The second thing is, as it dawns on us that maybe the other party is not confused, maybe their information about our perceived shortcomings is accurate. So then we go into what we call denial mode. Done it. Try to justify it. Try to, no, wait, hold on a second. Here's what happened. That's because this, and this, and this, and this. It's a short line, direct picture of the whole picture, which puts us right back in the same playing field, right? Gets us back to another fall. And then finally, the last one is, when all else fails, we attack the other party and discredit the messenger. You ever done that? Well, that's what they said, but they're wrong. They just don't get it, They've never told the truth before. You never have those thoughts at least going through your mind, and it's pretty crazy. So let's move into the keys. There's 4 keys to help us become successful. Here's what they are. Belief number 1. There's 4 beliefs to become successful. I have succeeded. Now think about that. I have succeeded is in the past, right? And I think we can all go back and look about some great successes we've had and what that's done for us, right? And it says our brains will actually edit the failures, soften them, right? Reason with them, and exploit the successes. Wow, is that interesting, isn't it? Because when you think about that, we're almost our worst enemy at that point. Because don't we really want to be totally successful? Don't we want our success to be greater than our thoughts? When you guys come in tonight and you see this evening's presentation and the fun that we're having and the platform that Vision Committee has put together, that's all seen before it actually happens. So it's kind of funny because somebody said to me last night, this is what Mike Dama did. He said, it's exactly what I saw. And that's what you're going to see. It's amazing. It's amazing. So our minds are truly powerful. So belief number 2, I can succeed. I can succeed. And that's present. That's today. That's present time. I can succeed. I am confident I can succeed. Successful people literally believe that through sheer force of personality or talent or brain power, they can steer the situation in their direction. That sounds like a lot of us. I work with all you guys. That's a lot of us right there. No matter what we say, it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be, and we're going to make it successful. Or die trying, and sometimes we die trying. Do you guys hear them? You guys see this stuff? This is an incredible book. It's an easy read, it's a short read, and this is something I think every one of us can be reading and emailing each other comments on or calling people on. I'm telling you, this is some cool conversational points in this book here. So then it gets into something called, I'm putting my glass on so I can see it. It's called oh my gosh, I keep saying this word for crying out loud. Thank you. How'd you know that, Dave? Where'd you learn that word from? Where'd you learn that word?
Couldn't tell you. I'm Joe Red.
You are. That's awesome. Say it again. Efficacy. Okay. Efficacy. Efficacy. There, I said it a million times this morning. Now I can't say it at all. So I'm going to read something out of the book on that. Thank you, Dave. Dave is not only that, a movie star. We'll see that later. Direction of self-efficacy. And it may be the most central belief driving individual success. People who believe they can succeed see opportunities where others see threats. They're not afraid of uncertainty or ambiguity. They embrace it. They want to take bigger risks and achieve greater returns. That's a lot of you sitting in these chairs. I see it all the time. Given the choice, they will always bet on themselves. So true. Here you guys are, every single day. They do not feel like victims of fate. It's not done on luck or random chance or external factors. Psychologist Albert Bandura has defined self-efficacy as our beliefs in one's ability to succeed in specific situations or accomplishments at task. One's sense of self-efficacy can play a major role in how one approaches goals, tasks, and challenges. Truly an important part of being successful. So let me just flip my notes here. I can tell you that this third belief is the belief that I will succeed. I will succeed. This is interesting because this is in the future, right? This is in the future saying, I have a thought, I have a dream, I have a plan, and it's in the future. And you have all the ability to make that thing happen. You have time. Now, it may not come as soon as you want it to be. I would have thought 8 years ago when I saw this district, I thought, you know what? We could probably get to $50 million in Lennox purchases in the state of sales in the state of Wisconsin in 5 years. We have not done that. We're on a path right now to do 26, which is very good. It's excellent. But it's not where we want to be. So when you're going through, I'm going back into the back side of this PDCA, this plan, do, check, and adjust, where are we not checking and adjusting to get to where we want to be, right? And that's our choice. So in the future, I will succeed. I have the motivation to succeed. Successful people have an unflappable optimism. Here's what that says on that. I'm going to read a couple of comments from here. If they set a goal and publicly announce it, they tend to do whatever it takes to achieve the goal. That's a good thing, but it also can easily cause internal expressive optimism. So it can easily mature into excessive optimism. It explains why successful people tend to be extremely busy and face the danger of overcommitment. Again, Mike is talking about this. It's so, what was the language you said? You speak a language? Speak impediment, and you can't say no. Anybody else have that problem? A lot of folks, right? I mean, it's so, don't you want to serve? It's kind of what we do in our industry, right? I mean, you look at the Impact Foundation, you look at Heat Up Wisconsin, you look at all the things that you guys have stood up for and stood for. Stand up to create and stood for. And there's no no in that. There's no no in that. There's no disgrace in that. It's all good. But at what point does too much become discouraging? Right? So, I mean, it's just questions, just thoughts. So it says, they were overwhelmed because they were drowning in a sea of opportunities. So in this paragraph, they were talking about a business owner who was extremely busy. And what they found out was they had such massive opportunities coming to them that they couldn't keep up with it. And they weren't really delegating ideas and thoughts and responsibilities to be able to manage those opportunities. Now, where did the opportunities come from? The opportunities came from starting to focus and go forward and do the right things, right? So as they started having success, then opportunities started to come to them. Brent said it this morning. We were talking to Angela, and he said something this morning that exactly said that. He said the more we do well, the more opportunities are presented. But how do you keep up with it all? I mean, I don't know. I just saw Chuck walk in. Nice to see you, Chuck. And Chuck's, tall, good-looking young man. If he were to take off his shirt, you'd see an S on his shirt. Bill? Correct? I mean, he can do anything. He handles anything. He's going to make sure it gets done. He's going to make sure he follows through. He's going to lead the company. And how many times we have people like that? But at what point do we say they hit a plateau? So how do we coach them through distress? Because we all start to get into that at some point. through that comfort period and show them where this eustress is so they can find where they want to really go. Get to that final result. Where can we do that and where can we get that from? And it's truly remarkable. So this last one is belief number 4, I choose to succeed. So it's commitment versus compliant. The note that I put down here that I read from the book was, and if I offend somebody here, I want to say this up front because I'm going to talk about somebody. I don't mean to. So I'm going to talk about school teachers for a minute. I know Missy's a school teacher, my daughter's a school teacher, my sister's a school teacher. So I'm not saying all school teachers, but I'm saying this. In the book, it talks about this couple paragraphs. Were any of you ever in school and you had great teachers that you can still think of today? Yes. Do you have a whole bunch you cannot remember? And it talks about people going to their job for a paycheck versus their commitment and their love for what they're doing. And really, truthfully, where more critical would it be than our children to have the best leaders and the best people to train our children into the future than at that point of their life? I don't know. I've been disturbed with that for a long time, for many, many years, since my kids went to school and everything else. And it's just the way it is, but I understand that. But at the same time, if we look at ourselves, we look at our jobs, we look at our team, look where we're going, do we fall into that trap at times? Do we just go through the motions and kind of get things done? But do we really develop the futures? Do we really kind of look around and see, hey, this is my goal and this is how I'm going to get there? I need to pull this thing apart and make sure it's there. Do we do those things? I don't know. Only you can answer for yourself. I know I do not. I wish I could. I wish I did. If you know me, you know I try to learn every single day. I try to grow every single day. If one thing I've learned is the more I learn, the less I know. Because it starts to have this internal battle in my head saying, here, did you ever see that 17, 18, 19-year-olds know everything? They do. Because it's black and white. They know so little, mostly, that their answers are simple. But as we move on and we learn more, it becomes a harder definition, doesn't it? So what I wanted to make sure that I always am looking at and I'm trying to do is constantly relearning, constantly asking myself questions, constantly challenging my decisions, constantly looking for advice. I have talks with Angela. Everybody know, I think you all know that Angela Chapoy is my direct boss. And it's been beautiful because I knew her father, Ed, for many years. He actually helped me when I went in from a contracting into be a distributor. He was the first guy that came in and said, I think he just kind of said, well, you don't know anything, so I'm going to I feel bad for you. kind of thing, And he kind of went like this and pet his head around me, and he said, here's what we should be looking at, here's what we should do. And he was a great coach. I met Angela, she's about 17, it was about that time period. And now she's my boss. It's cool, because I get to see perspectives from a different format. You understand what I'm saying? So I've had great bosses, but when you start to see things from a different direction, first of all, it pushes, it's backwards. It's distress. It's like, whoa, what are you talking about? And all those things come into play, like denial, explaining what you're doing, all those kinds of things. But if you break those things down and just try to open your thinking, in will come the things that will help you start to adjust so you can move toward your dream, toward your ultimate goal. I hope this has helped you guys a little bit today. I know every one of you guys are excellent business owners. You guys are premier dealers. You're the best of the best. I love Tom Swartz when he created that term right here on the stage. He said, this group is the best of the best. Remember that? And it stuck. It has stuck. I am very proud to serve you guys. I love what you guys do. I think you guys are doing a great thing with all the different things of giving back and helping train your team. All I can say is look for that eustress. Put yourself under that pressure for a period. Pull yourself back out. Put yourself under that pressure. But make sure if you're going to put yourself in eustress, make sure you know your goal. Make sure you know your dream. And make sure you're looking at your family and your teammates, your employees, to help them through the same process. Build a great company. Thanks for being here.